Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. As a teacher, I was always curious what happens in the classroom next to me. Now being here at the University of Warwick gave me an opportunity to interact with my cohort who are from different parts of the world. Interviewing them gave us an opportunity to understand their educational journey and have a quick peek about the classrooms around the world. So joining us today, we have Laila. She is from Lebanon and Kuwait. So thank you very much for joining.
Thank you so much for letting me be on your YouTube channel. It's a nice opportunity to introduce other people about the education system where I come from. So my situation is a bit confusing. I'm Lebanese, but I live in Kuwait. I was born and raised in Kuwait. So it will be a mix of both of these contexts.
Great. So could you tell us more about your country and your hometown?
Okay, so when you talk about this, you mean Lebanon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Lebanon is in the Middle East. So in the Middle East, next to Palestine, Jordan, and Syria. You can say that it is above the Gulf, Saudi Arabia. I don't know in directions exactly.
Mm-hmm.
We are famous for our rivers and dips, like
Yeah.
hummus,
Yes.
music, and our cultural dances, like
Mhm.
something called dabke, which is like a group dance that people do. Yeah.
And tell us about how you come to Kuwait and where do you live in Kuwait?
Okay, so my grandparents
Mhm.
arrived to the UK, sorry, not to the UK, to Kuwait 60 years ago, and they started a business there. And both of my parents were born in Kuwait also, and then I was born in Kuwait. And I go to Lebanon each summer, so I have this connection with Lebanon too. And I did all of my studying in Kuwait. So my undergrad, my high school, my kindergarten, everything in Kuwait. Just my postgrad here in the UK.
Okay. Now, as you speak about your educational journey, so generally, when did you start your educational journey? At what age?
What age? You can say I started at the age of 5, maybe 6.
Mhm.
So I think it was in 2004.
Mm-hmm.
It was, you start with 2 years of kindergarten. So we don't do, I don't know what is it called before kindergarten.
Play group something.
Something like that. Yeah,
Mhm.
we do it, but it wasn't that famous and common at my time. So it was just you go to school immediately, 2 years of kindergarten, and then you start grade 1
Mm-hmm.
until grade 5, which is middle school. Yeah. And then from grade 6 until 9, that's, sorry, wait, I got confused.
Yeah.
So from grade 1 until 5, what is that called?
Primary, elementary.
Yeah, sorry, elementary. And then from grade 6 until 9, that's middle school. And then high school for us is grade 10, 11, and 12.
Mm-hmm.
And in grade 10, you choose your route. So you want to go to, you either choose to go to the scientific part or you go to the arts part.
Mm-hmm.
And although I'm doing my MA in TESOL now, I did my, what do you call it? My grade 10, 11, and 12 in the scientific part. So I took math, physics, and biology. It wasn't really easy, but
Mm-hmm.
I got it done.
Great, great. So coming back to your primary education, so when you look back at your primary education, could you tell us more about the primary classroom and your school? Something like, what was the medium of instruction? How many teachers were there? How many kids were there?
Okay, when you say primary, do you mean my kindergarten or elementary?
Elementary.
Elementary. It was only one teacher that
Mhm.
teaches you that one subject, and we stayed in our class. We didn't move. Like usually in private schools, for examples, they would have private American or British. The students move and go to the teacher. So if they have English, they would go to the English teacher's class.
Okay.
So they don't have a stable classroom. Okay, they would have one, but they will go to the teacher. For me, it wasn't that. I was in a private school, but it was private Arabic school,
Mhm.
which is very similar to the government school. Just the difference is maybe the nationalities that are common there are more like foreigners instead of like people from that country, which is Kuwait. And the books are the same. So for the elementary, again, I go back to elementary. We had one teacher and one classroom, and I don't know what exactly do you want to know about the instructions. It wasn't like small tables where children gather. It wasn't like that. It was very rigid. Like we sat like we are adults, just like college students. We had a table that two students shared, and we would sit, instructions, you do the work, that's it. The next teacher will come, so you have 40 minutes of class, you finish, the next teacher comes, and then you would get three classes back to back.
Okay.
Then a break for 20 minutes, and then 4 classes back to back.
Okay.
So it was a bit too much for children, but
Yeah.
this is how it is.
Okay. So you spoke that you have different teachers for different subjects.
Not my school system. Like if I have for English, I would. Sorry. Just to repeat. So for English, I have a teacher. For Arabic, I have a teacher. Yeah.
And like, what were the subjects you studied then?
In elementary.
Yeah.
So in elementary, we had the obligatory courses are everything was obligatory. So it was English, Arabic, math, and science, and religion.
Okay.
And for students who are not Muslim, they would leave the class when it's time for our religious class. We don't have, although my school is the only Christian school in Kuwait, we didn't have a Christian curriculum. Do you say Christian curriculum? Yeah, so they would have to leave. We do our religion class, and then they would come back. And for biology, it was, I don't remember, I think it was started in grade 3.
Okay.
So before that, I don't remember if we had biology. I remember math and English.
So you spoke about the different subjects in your class. Generally, how many students were there in your class?
Oh my God, this brings like a bit painful memories. Our classes were a bit full. On average, a class would have 30 students.
Okay.
30 students, and they can move up to 45, depending on how many people were admitted that year. Although our school it wasn't easy to get in. So for people to get in, they need to be from the beginning in that school. They can't just come in unless they have like someone they know who can help them get in.
Okay, so you spoke about this Arabic Christian school.
Yeah.
What are different other types of school?
So in school systems, we have the American schools, we have British schools, we have Arabic schools. In Arabic schools, we still take English. All of these, they take English. The system is just different for these schools. I'm trying to remember what else. And we have bilingual schools, so they follow, but they use English and Arabic in their curriculum. We use Arabic and English, like my private Arabic school, we use Arabic and English, but we learn about math, biology, and what else? Yeah, math and religion in Arabic. We don't use English to learn these things.
Okay.
So yeah, until like a later age.
Yeah, that's interesting. So once you finish your primary education, you go to secondary classes. Do you have some exam at the end of primary education?
You mean exam?
Yeah.
At the end of primary?
Yeah, so.
No, I don't have anything. We just move regularly. We don't have like a graduation or anything. Maybe the only like graduation you would have is when you finish kindergarten and you move into elementary, and that's it.
Okay.
And for other grades, no exam, no official exams. We have one in later. I want to know more about.
Okay, yeah. So tell us more about your middle school experience.
Middle school, oh my God, it's all a blur. I remember only math and the fact that I didn't like it, but I ended up, for some reason, going for the science part. It was the same as elementary, so it was 45 minutes of class, instruction, You don't move, you don't do anything. You just take whatever and then you move on to the next class. That's it. I don't remember any time playing outside until recess, which is like a very short time. The last time I played was in kindergarten. That's sad. That's sad. So it's basically the same until I graduated.
Yeah. And was there any change in subjects?
Changing?
Change in subjects. Did the subject change?
What's that?
Like,
Courses change. I think we added like biology, but it's like simple biology for that level. I just remembered one thing, like in kindergarten. Sorry, like for putting that in the memory. We also had time where we can go to the library. That's the only time we had to go to the library, and we had some animals, so we interacted with some animals, and we had like a small library where we sat and watched something educational for children, and we had like a small playground. That's the only time we were like had time with playing at least.
Interesting. What could you tell us about your middle school? Like again, the same things, like how many teachers were there?
Middle school. So now we talked about elementary, middle school. Middle school. I think it's just repeated like elementary, but now things are more complicated. And I started to have a new subject. I don't know what you call it. I think geography. So you learn about
Earth and all these things. Yeah.
But our geography was really focused on the Middle East and more specifically Kuwait. We always talked about the Iraqi invasion in Kuwait. Like we kept talking about it for until I graduated. Like this is the main topic in geography. We didn't talk about other countries that much. What else? Yeah. This is what I remember. Yeah.
Okay. And was it the same school where you completed your elementary and middle school?
Yes. So I did my kindergarten, elementary, middle school, and high school in one school.
Great.
I just transferred the building, changed the building in grade 12. That's it. So I stayed in one place.
Interesting. And number of students were again almost the same?
Yes. I think like when I became older, the number increased.
Okay.
So like I think at one point we reached 45 from what I remember. So the number stays the same. The seating is the same. I think maybe the seating might have changed from 2 girls in one chair to 1, like each one. And I forgot to mention that my school is one gender. So when you reach grade 6, it's only girls. So boys have to leave. They have to change to go to another school because from kindergarten until grade 5, it's mixed. But then after that, it's only
girls' school.
Yeah.
Okay. And boys have a separate school for them?
Yeah, they have like exactly the same school, just for boys. So I think all Arab private schools, like it's called Arabic private school, have the same system. So from grade 1 until 5, it's mixed, and then after that, or maybe grade 4, then it will be separated.
Yeah. So apart from this Arabic school, you spoke about British school, American school, and all these are private school. Are there government schools as well?
Are there what?
Government public schools?
Yes. I think there's one type of government school, which is the Arabic schools. So anything that goes under the government is Arabic schools. I'm not sure if there is like private. Yeah, no, there's only that type that I remember.
Okay, thank you very much for this. So again, same thing continued for your upper education, high school experience as well when you went to grade 9, grade 10, and subjects were almost the same?
Yes, I think in grade 10, remember there's a switch. So you either choose science or art. For science, from what I remember, I had math, English, physics, biology, chemistry, and so there's something called it's like geography, but it's focused on Kuwait geography, like more intense focus on Kuwait geography from what I remember. And there's also, what is the study of the land? Not geography.
Geology?
Geology, I think, yes. Geology, we studied that in grade 11 for people who are in the science part. So when I talk about these things, I'm talking about the 3 years. Like I get them confused unless you ask like for specifics.
Yeah, I get it. No worries. So after you completed 12, you got admitted for your undergrad.
Yeah, so after I finished my grade 12, I moved to Canada. You want me to talk about this?
Please go ahead.
Okay. So after I finished, I moved to Canada for 1 year to do my English course. So there's like a McGill Continuing Studies, School of Continuing Studies, which offers English, like English pre-sessionals courses. You take like levels depending on what is your score on their exam. You reach there, you do an exam, and for me, I had to do 3 courses, 3 or 2. So I started in September and finished in April, the year after.
Okay.
And it's basically like just like any pre-sessional. It's just English, teaching you how to write emails, how to write essays. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. So you have experience education back in Kuwait. You have experience this education in Canada as well. So what difference could you find among these two?
I feel like the comparison would be unfair because this is like high school or school and this is like university level. But in terms of writing, the closest one that was closest to reality, to what we actually write, was what I learned in the Canada. Like I remember when I wrote my first essay, the structure was very different, very different. In Canada, it was different because there was grades, there was a rubric, everything was clear, so you did have a structure, and you needed to follow that structure. That was the top difference. And the second difference is in my high school years, I wasn't pushed to practice my speaking skills. I don't remember any time standing up and talking about something I'm interested in or doing presentations. In Canada, I had to do it like more than one time. Thankfully, the people that were there were not judgy, so it was easier. Yeah, that's it.
Interesting. And after you've completed those pre-sessionals, you came back to Kuwait.
Yes. So I applied to universities in Canada and I applied to universities in Kuwait. And I got accepted in Canada, but I got accepted in business school, and that was not my top interest. So I just decided that, okay, in Kuwait, the course that I need, which is English education, is in a good private university, so let's just go there. And I'll just do like studying abroad later, which is what I'm doing right now.
Great. So you spoke about private university. So what are the different types of universities you see?
Okay, so we have 2 types of universities from what I know. This is all based on what I know, so there might be other stuff. There's private and public, and the most famous like public university, I think we have only one public university in Kuwait, which is called Kuwait University. It admits both Kuwaitis and non-Kuwaitis, although it's a bit competitive to be admitted because the tuitions are really not that high. So people are always competing, and the name of the university is really known around the Middle East. So people would want to get in. And my university was a private, I think, American university. Like the system is American.
Could you tell us more about your university?
I don't know what would I
like. What was the structure? How it worked? How the classes worked? What were the subjects?
Okay, I remember one thing because I'm comparing it here. So when you take your courses, we don't have something called seminars and lectures. We have only lectures. Maybe like if you're taking the lower courses, like the courses that are like 100, under 100, like in terms of level, you know, when you have a course, it's called like English 100, when you do your undergrad, you do like there's a course code and then there's a number next to it, right?
We don't know this concept. Could you tell us more
Okay.
about it?
So I think it's in Canada and the US. So you have like your course and then there's a code next to it. So if it's English, it would be ENG and then L and then a number. So the lower the number is, that means that these courses are the starter courses, and then you move
Okay.
up until you reach graduation, which is like 400, which is the highest you can go, 400 something. Okay, so for the lower courses, we had something like the idea of seminar then lecture, or lecture then seminar, where the professor would give us like a 1 hour lecture, and then the person helping her, assistant, would give us on another day a 1 hour session of practice. But it was only for the lower
Lower
level
class.
course. Yes.
Yeah.
Then it became like only lectures. Lectures of, you either choose to have lectures on Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday, which will be for 50 minutes. Or you choose to have your courses on Monday and Wednesday, which will be longer. It's 1 hour, 20 minutes. My course was English education, so it's basically lectures and sometimes we do practical work. There was nothing like moving out of our place. If you want to know more about like my courses specifically, what we do in class.
Yeah, you can tell, like, was there some practical work involved, like going into classrooms and teaching, or what subjects did you study, something like that?
Okay, so the first, I think, 2 years, you take general English courses because you're an English teacher. you would share your courses with English literature student and English linguistic students. So I took a lot of English literature and English linguistics courses. What else? I took also, we had like a section in our major sheet. Do you use the word? So when you go to a university, you need to complete courses to finish your degree. And we have a sheet that has all the courses that you need to finish in order to do your degree. And the first section of it is just general courses. You would take history, languages. You can also take religion, philosophy. These are the first 1 year to 2 years you are trying to complete these, and after that it's like the courses that you would need for your major. After I finished my general courses like linguistic and literature, I'm trying to remember what else. Okay, I'll try to remember later, but then I moved into the second 2 years where I took education courses. I took courses about technology in education. I took courses about teaching special education. Although we didn't practice that like special education, but we were told about it because this was not our
specification.
Specification or major.
Yeah. Okay. So that was resourceful. Thank you very much. Did you have some classroom teaching experience as well?
Okay, I was gonna talk about this. So once you reach the second part of your degree, which is the second 2 years, at the end of like the fourth year is where you take your internship. You basically apply for schools like this. The university will do that part. You just say you want private or public, where do you want to do your internship, and they will like match you to a school. My situation was a bit different because it happened during COVID.
Oh, yes.
So we only had one school, and it was online, but teachers were allowed to go to the school. So the teachers go to school and do their work from school, but students are at home. And it was a bit shorter than usual. So usually you would have training for 3 months. But for me, it was in time it was 3 months, but the actual teaching where I go to class and teach, I only taught 5 times. But I was observing, I was observing all the time, but for actual teaching, it was only 5 times where I did teach literature. I
Yeah.
taught
And
Egyptian
what grades did you teach?
grades. So I did both. No, I did one grade, which is grade 12,
Mm-hmm.
but I did boys and girls. So
Okay.
they have their classes, I think, separated.
Mm-hmm.
And the school that I did my internship in was a private American school. I think private American or bilingual.
Mm-hmm.
But it was different from what I was doing.
Yeah.
It was a bit difficult for me, more complicated. So it was a bit of, do we say, what do you call it, this learning
Good.
learning curve. Yeah,
Mhm.
I had a lot of good feedback from the teacher that I was working with. I'm like super grateful that I had her. And what else? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much for this. So, generally in Kuwait, when someone has to work as a teacher, he has to complete the education, like the degree course, undergrad, what you are speaking about. What are other ways to become a teacher in Kuwait?
So to become a teacher, um, I think the most basic thing is to have an undergrad.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure if you need an undergrad. Like, let's say you want to teach English.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people would have a degree in, I don't know, history,
Mm-hmm.
but they are speakers of English, like British or American.
Mm-hmm.
As long as like the capability is there, they would. This is where we talk about
Native speakerism.
native speakerism. These are like work for people who are from other parts of the world. But for people in the country itself, like the most basic thing is you need an undergrad in English, and depending on the school, you might need experience.
Mm-hmm.
And now I was checking because I want to apply for a job, and some of them, if you want to teach high school, you need a master's degree,
Okay.
or you would need to be in that school from the beginning, and you would move until you reach high school.
Yeah.
So you can't like just enter with like myself with no experience and like, oh, I want to teach high school. You need a master's degree for that. You want to know about schools only? Like,
Yes.
yeah, okay, about schools.
Uh, What else you want to say? You can say.
No, like I'm thinking of universities.
Yeah,
If you want
please,
to become
please.
like a pre-sessional instructor,
Mm-hmm.
you would also need a master's degree for that. But sometimes people who wouldn't have a master's degree and still like teach in such a position because they were really good in their undergrad and they were recommended by people to go to that
Okay.
position.
Yeah.
So it's a bit muddy in terms of the conditions you would need to follow in order to teach in schools or universities.
Okay. So, is there some interesting initiatives, maybe by your government, maybe by your undergrad college, or maybe by your school that you want to share?
Yes.
Mhm.
So my university offers a really nice thing. You're allowed to apply, not allowed to, like they push their students to do one course in the US. They have a collaboration with the 2 or 3 universities in the US where they take 10 or 13 students to complete one course of their choice, which is like, how do we say it? Like when you do it in the USA, they will give you, based on the grades, they will go to your degree. So it's not like useless thing that you do in the US and come back and it's nothing. No, it's like part of your degree.
Mhm.
But just the location will change.
Yeah.
This is 1, 2. I was one of like the students that were part of helping my professors, and so we would bring teachers from Kuwait who are really good at what they do, and like famous, and we would interview them. So this was one of the opportunities, like volunteering opportunities, to work with such a program, and it's like a center for research and education.
Right. Right. Is there anything else you want to speak about?
Okay, so there's a nice initiative in Kuwait where I live called Loyak, where they give opportunity to people who are not working yet, but they also want to work. So people who are students, either undergrad or high school student, usually they should be like above 17 for the part that I'm talking about, and they would help you apply to internship opportunities. They would give you money to do that, so it's not just working for free, volunteering. And they have many options. And at one point, they gave us like the option to do work in an educational company. So people like me would need that experience to learn more about education through experts.
Interesting. Thank you very much for joining us today, and thank you very much for sharing all these insights.
Thank
I'm
you.
sure those are helpful for us.
Thank you for having me,
Thank you very much.
and good luck with your journey.
Thank you very much. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.